Well, bonjour. All right. Wonderful. Well, a few more folks might be coming in, but I want to thank everybody for joining us and welcome to our information session on our most recent calls for proposal. Bonjour à tous et merci pour nous avons joindre aujourd'hui pour notre session d'information. My name is Corey, and I'm the new Director of Implementation and Programs. It's wonderful to meet you all, and I'm very excited to share some of this information. So I think as we continue to filter in, let's begin with just a few housekeeping items. So KBHN is deeply committed to accessibility. It's who we are. We have built our slide deck with accessibility in mind, and you have also access to closed captions on Zoom down at the bottom on the right side of your Zoom taskbar. If the meeting today wasn't adequately accessible to meet your needs, please let me know. We're always learning, and I'm very happy to connect one-on-one where additional time with the content is needed. I know many of us feel like Zoom experts these days, but I wanted to remind folks that during this presentation, it will be recorded and accessible afterwards, but we are not recording your video. So you can feel free to turn your video on if you'd like. We are also covering quite a lot of ground today, and we expect and hope that there will be lots of questions. We'll be answering questions at the end of our presentation, and please put them in the chat as you think of them. We'll be answering all of the questions in the chat, again, to maximize accessibility and maximize our ability to answer everybody here today. We also have a poll, which we're going to launch right now. This poll is just for our own information. Won't be sharing it, and we'd really appreciate everyone taking a moment to fill it out. I imagine this group knows more than most the importance of a good poll. So we really deeply appreciate you helping us understand our audience today and ensure that we're giving the best offerings forward. Aussi, nous sache que nous avons des collègues francophones ici aujourd'hui. Nous sommes heureux d'avoir votre perspective dans notre pays bilingue. Nous avons plein d'enfants et des familles au Québec et ailleurs au pays qui pouvons bénéficier aussi de nos activités ici. Nous avons une application pour traduction aujourd'hui aussi que vous pouvez utiliser et suivi en français si vous voulez. Pour activer les sous-titres en français, cliquez sur le bouton en bas, Show Captions, sur votre écran. Et puis, il y a un petit flèche à côté qui peut activer la traduction en français. Now, with that, I'll continue on to our land acknowledgements. KBHN respectfully acknowledges the unceded and traditional territories of the coastal Salish people, including the Tsleil-Waututh, the Kwikwetlam, the Squamish, and the Musqueam nations on which KBHN is located. I personally am located on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people, today called Ottawa, and ask everyone to take a moment to reflect on the lands upon which we all have the privilege to live, work, and play, and feel free to acknowledge them in the chat. I know these reflections are shared often at the start of meetings just like these, but I think it's important to remind ourselves that these reflections are more than just performances, especially on the heels of National Truth and Reconciliation Day. So I thought I'd take a moment to also share one of the calls to action that might apply to this group here. So number 22 in the Truth and Reconciliation call to action is: we call upon those who can affect change within the Canadian healthcare system to recognize the value of Aboriginal healing practices and use them in the treatment of Aboriginal patients in collaboration with Aboriginal healers and elders where requested by Aboriginal patients. We are all leaders, one way or another, in our healthcare system, and I hope as we explore this call for funding, teams can reflect on how we can be working with Indigenous peoples and honoring Indigenous knowledge and ways of knowing to improve lives for all of us living today on Turtle Island. We are excited to get into programming and lucky to have our CEO, Jeff Pradella, and Chief Scientist, Jen Zwicker, presenting, along with a special video appearance from Ray Martins, whom many of us know as our family engagement and research knowledge broker. In terms of our program, we'll be introducing or maybe reintroducing KBHN and sharing our exciting vision along with a strategic science fund announcement. Also discuss funding opportunities in detail and the application requirements. And of course, we will end the session with an opportunity for the Q&A. But again, feel free to put those questions directly into the chat, and we'll be working throughout the chat as well. So with that, thank you all very much. It's been wonderful for first opportunity for me to get to meet you all, and I will hand things off to our CEO, Jeff.
Thanks, Corey. It's inspiring to see so many individuals here today committed to improving life for children with neurodevelopmental disabilities. Whether you're a researcher, a clinician, innovator, or someone with lived experience, I know we're all united by a shared purpose, advancing our sector to deliver meaningful impacts for children and their caregivers across Canada. My background is having been with KBHN now for 5 years, originally as a director on the board, then board chair, and now CEO. And it's my privilege to have this opportunity to work so closely with the team and with all of our researchers, projects, and programs. Notre vision est courageuse et simple. Tous les enfants vivant avec un trouble neurodéveloppemental jouissant d'une bonne qualité de vie sont inclus dans tous les aspects de la société et atteignant leur plein potentiel. C'est notre contrat et promesse pour nos enfants et leurs familles. Notre vision chez RSCA est simple. All children living with neurodevelopmental disabilities enjoy a quality of life, inclusion in all aspects of society, and reach their full potential. This isn't just a statement on a slide. It's a commitment and a promise that we make to children and families across our great country. Our mission is the engine that drives the vision forward. Through catalyzing collective action across sectors, KBHN ensures optimal care and better outcomes for children with neurodevelopmental disabilities and their families. We believe that together, through the power of collective action, we can and are igniting change, investing in developing the next generation of researchers and clinicians who are dedicated to moving research into reality and ultimately creating a future where every child and family can thrive. To turn this vision into reality, we've identified 3 core challenges. These are core challenges that have been part of KBHN's mission since day one. Early identification, because every day in the life of a child matters. We know early access to evidence-based interventions and supports is critical for optimal brain development. 2, access to interventions. We are investing in evidence-based interventions to make sure they make it into practice and into the hands of the kids who can benefit, and are scaled in an accessible manner across the country to those who need them, including diverse cultures and communities. 3, family support, because empowering families is key to improving a child's life, and the lives of our caregivers are important to participate fully in society. These 3 pillars are our commitment to achieving our mission and vision, but we need your help. This call today marks a significant milestone in our network. Throughout our history as a national network of centers of excellence, we funded and advanced groundbreaking research and have demonstrated a clear value of this research in identifying, advancing, and supporting neurodevelopmental research. The Government of Canada recognized how important it is for us to continue this work and work with you to help move from research to implementation through the Strategic Science Fund. We're excited to use this new funding call to invite innovations and implementations that will continue to push the boundaries of what's possible for the children and their families. This funding comes from Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada. We thank them for the opportunity to move our mission forward. It allows us to focus our go-forward work on implementation, business development, scale and spread, and commercialization, or the standing up of social enterprises. Pathways for getting proven innovations into the market or into the hands of every child and family that can benefit from them. 2, to increase the quality of internationally leading edge research. We know that the work being done by our network members and all of you today has incredible potential for accelerated scale and spread across Canada and even abroad. 3, to develop world-class talent in innovation and implementation. We're investing in you to grow, collaborate, and lead in our field, getting kids the supports they need. And lastly, to accelerate the translation of knowledge into action. Research doesn't belong in journals or just in journals. We'll work together to ensure that all of our interventions become real-world solutions and reach our kids. I'm personally very thrilled the network gets to embark on this new exciting chapter with dedicated leaders like yourselves. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for attending. And I'm pleased now to pass the torch over to our Chief Scientist, Jennifer Zwicker.
Thanks, Jeff. Hi, everybody. So I'm joining you today from Calgary, which is the traditional territories of the people of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. City of Calgary is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Districts 5 and 6. Really privileged to live, work, and play on the beautiful lands here. Really excited to share with you the funding call we have for the innovation and implementation programs. So KBHN is really committed to implementation of research innovations into practice and ensuring evidence-based solutions really reach their intended audience, as Jeff was saying. So in support with these goals, we've launched the innovation program and the implementation program. And these are established as two distinct but complementary funding streams. So these programs are going to leverage Kids Brain Health Network funding and network expertise to support projects really with the potential to scale and to spread and generate impact for the end users. So we'll start with the innovation stream. The innovation program is designed to establish a pipeline of new projects that demonstrates a strong near-term potential for implementation or commercialization readiness. And we emphasize, it can be implementation focused or commercialization focused, really to advance KBHN's mandate to make a difference in the lives of children with neurodevelopmental disabilities and their families across Canada. So successful project teams can request within the innovation stream up to $100,000 a year for up to 2 years from Kids Brain Health Network. And there's a one-to-one partner matching of KBHN funding that is a requirement of the funding call. So if we then move to the implementation stream, the implementation program is designed to support large-scale implementation projects positioned to bridge the gap between scientific innovation to uptake on a national scale, really through partnerships with a range of different partners that are possible: universities, research institutes, industry, government, nonprofit, private, public sector, diverse international and community organizations could be potential partners. So within the implementation stream, successful projects are really expected to achieve measurable advances in social solution, changes to policy or practice, digital or biomedical innovations, or new and commercial products that really contribute to improving quality of life for children with neurodevelopmental disabilities and their families. Within the implementation stream, successful project teams can request up to $200,000 a year for 2 years from Kids Brain Health Network, again with a requirement for a one-to-one partner matching of the Kids Brain Health Network funds. So that's an overview of the two programs that we have launched, and we're really excited to have launched and are really keen to share through this webinar with you. And again, as Corey said, encourage you to reach out with questions as either through the chat or at the end we'll have an email address you can contact him through. I'll go through the requirements now for the programs. Kids Brain Health Network will select and fund the most promising transformative research proposals. And it's a core requirement that these proposals must address at least one of the core challenges of Kids Brain Health Network, being early identification, access to evidence-based interventions, and support for families, and be designed to bridge the gap between scientific innovation and uptake on a national scale. So the expected outputs of these projects really could include, but are not limited to, changes in policy or practice, thinking about advancing new technologies or establishing new applications for existing technologies, implementing, expanding, or scaling direct support for children and families. Fundamentally, we're really wanting to produce measurable economic, social, and health benefits and real-world implementation. So we also wanted to highlight that it's essential that in these projects that you're involving knowledge users and partners in either the private or the public sector who are really positioned to really adopt and implement some of the Kids Brain Health Network proposals. This is designed to specifically not be just like any other funding call that, and maybe not the same as any previous KBHN funding call, to the extent that to achieve implementation, scale, spread, commercialization, we have to have partners involved from the start of these projects during the stage they're at. So it's a key requirement in this funding call that you do have these implementation partners or commercialization partners as a part of this application. So project teams must include leadership from innovators committed to the process of implementation or commercialization. And then they also must include people with lived experience in the area. And we just, as an organization, feel that this is critical for achieving any success in implementation, scale, and spread and commercialization. There's also going to be a requirement to engage families and individuals with lived experience in the design, conduct, and analysis and dissemination of the research. So, there's a number of requirements you can see around the project team, and families with lived experience and individuals with lived experience are, again, essential in the application. We do have a knowledge broker who is Rachel Martins, who is available to connect with teams if you're looking for support in navigating who you're able to connect with, or maybe you don't need access to more partners. So I'm going to hand it over to Ray, who wasn't able to join us on the webinar live, but did record a video, and so we'll play that for you.
Hello everyone, my apologies for not being able to attend the meeting today as I have a prior speaking engagement. I thought today might be an opportunity to at least introduce myself if you haven't met me previously, but also share a little bit about my role in the Innovation and Implementation Program's call for proposals this year. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ray Martins. I live in Calgary, Alberta, in Treaty 7 territory and in Métis Nations Districts 5 and 6. I go by the pronouns she, her. I work as a knowledge broker as well as a research engagement strategist with the Family Engagement and Research Training Program, which is a collaboration between CanChild Center for Childhood Disability Research as well as Kids Brain Health Network. If by chance you are unfamiliar with the Family Engagement and Research Training Program, it offers 2 training courses for researchers as well as people with lived experience. The first course, the Family Engagement and Research course, is a 10-week program that offers opportunity through an experiential learning model to delve into the area of building healthy and successful partnerships with people with lived experience. The second course is the Leadership Academy, which is offered to graduates of the Family Engagement and Research course, which is an opportunity to build your skill sets as leaders, but also in the work of advancing family engagement in research. So what exactly does that have to do with this particular funding proposal? Well, one of the criteria associated with this funding proposal is ensuring that on the project team there must include a person with lived experience in the area of focus. And that is where I come in. Let's talk a little bit about it. Of course, as we know, there are varying levels of engagement in health research, and according to the context of the work that you are doing, I am here to support you in your work of engaging people with lived experience. Because as we know, there are a number of different values that have begun to develop over time with this social movement that is family engagement. This is one particular study that was put out this past year that analyzed the usage of the hashtag how not to do patient engagement. Now, this was a hashtag that was utilized both by researchers as well as people with lived experience, and really reflected a number of the shared values that come to define family engagement as a whole. And within this funding proposal, we want to ensure that these partnerships are successful in ways that are meaningful both to those people with lived experience, but also to you as a researcher, ensuring that you not only find space for real life application within your work, but also long-term connections and partnerships that are sustainable. So the next question would be, what can I offer you within this particular funding call? Number one is an opportunity to work together with you as well as myself to assess whether or not you are feeling like you are ready to partner with someone with lived experience. This is an opportunity to just have an honest conversation in a judgment-free space about what is necessary and the tools that you need in order to ensure that you are ready to do family engagement within your work. Another option available to you is that through the family engagement training program, we have over 300 graduates of the course. Half of them, of course, are researchers, but the other half are people with lived experience who are trained and ready to partner. And we can connect online and make sure that we find someone who is ready to partner with you. And a third point that is available to you is ongoing engagement support through consultation. Should you find yourself with any challenges in engagement along the way, I am more than happy to make time to connect with you and see what we can develop to make sure that things continue to go smoothly. And the fourth option here is receiving the Family Engagement Training Program Community Newsletter, which is an opportunity to connect with more resources to support your work, as well as to learn about the training program and other things that are going on as well too. So the first tangible step is for you to connect with me through the email address here, and we can talk about whether or not you feel like you are ready to do family engagement work in a capacity that is valuable to both yourself as well as the person that you would partner with. I am more than happy to also help connect you with a partner if you do not have one yet. And both of those options can be done through the email. With the ongoing engagement consultation, I'm happy to connect with you through this email address for any ongoing challenges or concerns you might have. And I would also be happy to add you to our newsletter so you have more resources at hand to support your work as well. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to connecting with you.
Thank you
Hello,
so
everyone.
much. I'm going to steal the mic back for a moment and just say how thankful we are for Ray's message. Although she couldn't be here with us today due to other commitments, I think her words speak deeply to the importance of engaging authentically with those with living experience, not just at the beginning of a project, but before, during, after, always. So really appreciate Ray being willing and supporting the projects through being that knowledge broker and connecting teams that may need to be connected with somebody with living experiences. That is a requirement of the projects. I'll also mention and hold on to the mic for a moment to talk about the requirement that projects must include a person with training in implementation science. KBHN is deeply committed to implementation science and practice. We know it's a key facilitator to scale and spread, and ultimately sustainability, ensuring our children and families can access services and products that they need to improve their lives. So to that end, we have invested in 3 cohorts to complete their Implementation Center Level 1 certificate. Beyond that, we have also created an implementation community of practice led by our amazing colleague, Vanessa Thomas, who I know is on this call as well. Members from this group of implementation leaders have made themselves available to be connected to groups who either do not have an individual with implementation training or who will be unable to complete training in time. So if your project does need an implementation member and you're still looking, please reach out to the research at kidsbrainhealth email. We'll be happy to connect teams with some very highly qualified individuals. So thank you for letting me take on that slide, but I'll pass it back over to Jen for the rest.
Awesome. Thanks, Corey. So just to wrap up this section on requirements, there'll be a requirement around reporting, of course, and that will be streamlined with sort of mid-year updates. So we'll move on to discussions about the application itself. Within the application, there's the proposals, of course, must focus on advancing Kids Brain Health Network's mandate to make sure that there's a difference in the lives of children. The applications must be focused around children with neurodevelopmental disabilities and their families, and must demonstrate rigorous scientific evidence and are expected to contribute to strengthening evidence-based decision-making, innovation, skill development, and building solutions-focused science and culture. Within the application, there's a requirement for a written commitment that Kids Brain Health Network's investment in the research will be matched from external sources at a ratio of at least 1:1. So that's just something to keep in mind as you're putting together the application. We'll be asking for a letter indicating that. There's also a request for a detailed plan for sustainability of the initiative beyond the term of this funding. So of course, Kids Brain Health Network wants to support the scale and spread and implementation, but we want to make sure that this project this is really the launching off point and that it really does continue to have impact in the community and that you're thinking about that. So thinking about a commercialization strategy, sort of plans for scale and implementation into practice will be important. Another component is making sure that you're demonstrating the potential to increase accessibility of solutions to diverse, vulnerable, and underserved populations. Kids Brain Health Network has funded projects should really aim to increase the accessibility of solutions to vulnerable and underserved populations. So there's a special emphasis on underrepresented groups, such as Indigenous peoples, racialized Canadians, 2S LGBTQ individuals, and projects with this focus are highly encouraged. Another point I would make is just, there's also importance of thinking about considering the physical or geographic and language barriers that might be kind of important accessibility considerations. So thinking about that in the context of accessibility is also important. So we'll move on to criteria. And these criteria, again, are laid out in the funding call, but the proposals must focus on advancing Kids Brain Health Network's mission and vision. We reiterated that a number of times and just probably can't say it enough that, we're very interested in making a difference in the lives of children with neurodevelopmental disabilities and their families across Canada. So that is the scope of the funding call. We're wanting to make sure that proposals have a sound scientific rationale, increased accessibility, as we talked about, of solutions to diverse, vulnerable, and underserved populations. And again, must meet one of those core challenges in early identification, access to evidence-based interventions, and support for families. And part of the reason for reiterating this is we're just trying to demonstrate, the intentions of the call are going to be matched with a lot of the criteria and how they're designed. So another criteria is that proposals must demonstrate potential for national scope. Within the innovation program, we recognize it might just be potential for national scope. Within the implementation program, you'll notice the distinction where we say it must be national in scope. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be in every province and territory that exists across Canada per se, but that there's scale and spread at a national level. So it's thinking about that. Project teams must include leadership from innovators committed to the process of implementation and commercialization. So we've talked about the really important component of the team and how that's going to be essential in the application that's submitted. And then applications will really be evaluated based on many of these components. So the strengths of the research team and the commitment of partners, the current state of knowledge evidence supporting the uptake of innovation, and the level of engagement of families or individuals' lived experience. So, we are really going to be assessing kind of those components as a part of the criteria. Applications will also be assessed based on addressing equity, diversity, inclusion, relevance of the research to priority areas within KVHN, and impact of feasibility in achieving the expected outcomes. So hopefully these criteria are very intuitive based on what we provided as the intentions for the funding call. The other important thing to be thinking about is ensuring that there's opportunities for training of highly qualified personnel. Within Kids Brain Health Network, we're proud that our definition of highly qualified personnel includes trainees, undergraduate, graduate, postdoctoral students, postdoctoral fellows, but also can include research associates and research staff, and can also include, and also should include, family engagement and persons with lived experience. Scale and spread, there should also be inclusion of a scale and spread strategy and sustainability plan. So just thinking about the potential to generate near-term and long-term impact for children and families. So that's the criteria. We'll just, in the last couple sections here, go through the application format and the timeline. So within the format, there'll be a description of the project team, nominated principal investigator, co-PIs, co-applicants, collaborators, stakeholders. So you have one page to talk about the project team. There's a equity, diversity, inclusivity statement, an underrepresented statement. That's another one-page document. There's going to be inclusion of an abstract. That's 1 page maximum. Proposal is 10 pages. That's not including references. We ask for a lay summary in 200 words and an impact statement. That's a 2-page maximum. We're also requesting a budget justification, which has a 2-page maximum, and there'll be a budget template. As we noted before, there's going to be a requirement for letters of support, confirming scientific implementation and financial contributions of key partners and stakeholders. So we really do want to ensure that there's those letters of support present within the application. Like many funding calls, the required attachments are what we're asking for, and don't want to have other attachments. They won't be considered by reviewers beyond kind of the requested attachments. We will be asking for CVs from PI, co-PIs, and co-applicants. So the formatting would be in line with the Canadian Common CV, so the CHR Project BioSketch, or an equivalent format. And so the timeline, we've launched the request for proposals. The application submission deadline is December 16th this year, 2024. And then we're anticipated award date is going to be February 28th, 2025, with an anticipated award start date, March 1st, 2025. So really just to emphasize that applications must be received by 5 p.m. Pacific time on December 16th, 2024. And late applications won't be considered, just recognizing our need to kind of process and get applications ready for evaluation. So that's the overview. Questions can be submitted in writing at research@kidsbrainhealthnetwork.ca. We're asking to try to get the questions in ahead of October 20th, so we can really try to get them up on the website and get them shared. Committed to just ensuring everyone's getting the information. Often what happens is there's a lot of common questions, so wanting to just really try to address those as much as possible. But of course, open to questions now. And you can put them in the chat. I know that I think we've already been answering them in the chat, but please post your questions in the chat and we can work on addressing them. And just a big thank you to the team here for putting this presentation together. And thank you to the participants, everybody on the call today, for joining us. We're very excited about these funding calls, and really committed to answering your questions and working with you to help try to develop your innovations to applications to be as competitive as possible. So with that, we are going to go into Q&A, and I think if there's any questions you think that need to be flagged, Corey, that we should discuss, or if there's anything we should, anyone wants me to address the questions you have in the chat. Otherwise, if you feel like your questions have already been addressed through the chat, that's totally fine too. So
I
we'll
will
just pause.
say a big thank you to Jen and Jeff and Ray in absentia, and to all of you for attending. I love seeing so many new and familiar faces, and always impressed when there's a high retention rate through some of these things. So appreciate all that. Please do take the opportunity to ask questions that you have now. We're here and eager to answer. Again, we have an opportunity, if you'd like, to submit questions to the research kidsbrainhealth.ca email, and we will post both questions and answers to our website on a rolling basis for the next couple of weeks until the 18th. So we do have that as an option, but love for folks to ask some questions. How many awards do you anticipate for each category? That's a great question. I have that answer somewhere, but it's not at top of my fingers. I don't know if one of my colleagues may or may not, but if not, we'll make sure that that answer gets up on the website. It'll depend on a whole host of things, including, I imagine, what we get as applications.
Yeah, there's going to be, it'll depend on the applications are submitted, budget requests, and we're also working on sort of partner funding. So I think there's a number of factors that might impact that question. So we don't have a firm answer to that, but just really encourage everyone to submit if you have a project that you think is a good fit for the application, because we're really excited to see innovation and implementation research projects coming to Kids Brain Health Network, and want to have the opportunity to review them.
Thank you very much. Another question here. Could I apply for this funding if my pre-doc program will start around March? Would you like me to take a
Sure.
kick at the can there? I'll say, and I think this also flows into another question from Amy Sergis down a little bit further. Ultimately, um, as long as projects meet all of the requirements, then we are happy to explore those opportunities, and as long as they are eligible to be funded by SSF funds. So in terms of Anushka, I'm not sure of your specific situation as to what that project might not look like and where that would fall within our lists. We do, of course, invite industry and others that meet all the other requirements, including a partner that's matching one-to-one to apply. And we are excited to explore the applications that we get that meet our requirements within that space. So again, that might not help Anushka, but you can email me and we can talk about your specific situation so that I can better understand your program.
Yeah, there's a question about if innovation projects have to be new, and does that include application methodologies building off previous research projects? And, I think we recognize that certainly at this stage, this is not going to be necessarily a brand new project that you've never worked on before, but, there is an intent for this to be a new research that's specific to this funding proposal. So it's certainly, we want you to be building off of established publications and research and collaborations and team and partnerships that you have already developed.
Another question in the chat here, Jen, does ADHD qualify as one of the behaviors you are considering?
Yes.
It's an easy one. Thank you very much, Carol. Any other questions? We'll give people a few more moments to type.
I'm not sure, did we address there's one about funding eligibility. Can you please clarify what's eligible to receive SSF funds means? Example of eligible recipients.
Yeah, and so we can share some of that, again, the
Yeah.
criteria on the website. in terms of the eligible recipients, which does include industry or other startups, including those that are in university incubators, as amongst the other more kind of traditional lines. And again, this covers eligibility, but of course we still are looking for projects that are meet all of our criteria, not just being eligible as a recipient. So hopefully that helps answer a little bit Amy's question there. I'm not sure if there's any additional there piece. In terms of another question around, could we share the link to the implementation science course and information? Well, I will share that the cohorts that we have funded for our highly qualified people and trainees have been through the Center for Implementation, which I can either get into the chat or maybe one of my colleagues can share that. However, that's not the only implementation course that we know is out there, and so we would explore other certification and implementation training on a case-by-case basis, I assume.
Yeah, we're wanting you to provide some evidence of a team member that has implementation science expertise and experience. So, and like we shared in the slide deck, also you can reach out if you're looking for team members. You know, there could be potential within our network to help connect you to folks who have some of that expertise as well. Okay, I think it looks like we don't have a lot of other questions, and we know how valuable all of your time is. Oh, looks like we have one more. Would you consider projects focusing on cancer survivors developing neurodevelopmental disorders, or should it be neurodevelopmental disorder only? I think, Sarah, we're particularly focused on children and youth with neurodevelopmental disorders within our Kids Brain Health Network Band-Aid. So just making the case that that's the focus for the project.
Well, thank you. Barring any last minute questions, you have about 1 minute while I wrap up to ask a quick question in the chat there. But otherwise, do know that you can always reach out, and we will make sure to post all questions and answers to our funding call for proposal page so that folks can stay abreast and feel fully informed as to the scope of our funding proposals. So thank you all very, very much. And are we launching the poll one last time? Is that something I understand? Here we go. And so thank you very much. If you could, again, just fill out the launch poll. We appreciate so much your attendance, and I'll pass over to Jennifer. Any last words?
Just a huge thank you to everybody for attending, and thanks to the team for putting this together. Just really encourage you all, if you have some great ideas that you think are a fit, please apply. You know, I think we would really appreciate your applications. We're very excited about this new phase of Kids Brain Health Network and kind of this direction that we're taking. And this is one of the key pieces, is having excellent proposals submitted that we can support. So please reach out if you have questions, and have a great rest of your day.